You see, ladies and gentlemen, before we ever talk about discipline, before we ever talk about persistence, before we ever talk about becoming more, we must answer one simple question. Where are you going? Because if the destination is unclear, effort becomes wasted motion. Imagine getting into your car tonight. You turn the engine on, you press the accelerator, you drive with intensity, you burn fuel, you spend energy. You feel productive, but you never decide where you're headed. Now let me ask you, is that ambition or is that confusion? Most people are not lazy, they are simply unfocused. They are busy, incredibly busy, but busy traveling in circles. Achievement always begins with clarity of vision. You must define the destination, not vaguely, not emotionally. Not I just want to be successful someday. That's not a destination, that's a wish. Clarity means you can describe it. You can see it, you can measure it, you can feel the reason behind it. What do you want? How much do you want to earn? What kind of lifestyle do you want to build? What kind of family do you want to lead? What kind of character do you want to be known for? If I asked you right now to describe your ideal future in detail, could you, or would you hesitate? Here is something powerful. The clearer the vision, the stronger the motivation. When the destination is emotionally meaningful, discipline becomes easier. Why? Because purpose pulls you forward. You don't need to be pushed when you're pulled by something compelling. And clarity is not just about what you want. It's also about who you must become to deserve it. That's the part most people skip. They say, I want success, but success asks, will you become the person capable of handling me? You cannot consistently outperform your identity. If you want greater results, you must develop greater capacity. So the real question is not just, what do I want? The real question is, who must I become? More disciplined, more patient, more skilled, more courageous. Achievement is not something you chase. It is something you attract by becoming attractive to it. And clarity forces you to confront reality. You see, when the destination is clear, distractions lose their power. When you know exactly where you're headed, you start saying no more often. No to wasted time, no to unproductive habits. No to influences that pull you off course. Clarity sharpens decision making. It simplifies life. Instead of asking, what should I do today? You begin asking, does this move me closer to where I said I want to go? That question alone can transform your life. Because here's what happens without clarity. You drift into jobs you never planned to stay in. Drift into habits you never intended to build. Drift into years you never meant to waste. Drifting is dangerous because it feels comfortable. There's no urgency, no pressure, no defined standard, but you cannot drift your way to achievement. You must decide, and deciding is powerful. The word decision comes from a root meaning to cut off. When you decide on your destination, you cut off other options. You stop negotiating with mediocrity. You draw a line and say, this is where I am going. Now understand something. Clarity does not guarantee ease. It guarantees direction. There will still be obstacles. There will still be setbacks. There will still be moments of doubt. But when you know where you're headed, setbacks become detours, not defeats. Without clarity, every obstacle feels like a reason to quit. With clarity, obstacles become part of the journey. And here is something else that is crucial. Your goals must be written, not stored in your head, not casually mentioned in conversation. Written, because what gets written gets evaluated. What gets evaluated gets improved, and what gets improved gets achieved. When you write your destination down, you give it weight. You turn a thought into a target, and once there is a target, your mind begins working for you instead of against you. Opportunities that were always there suddenly become visible, conversations become strategic, learning becomes intentional. Time becomes valuable, all because you defined where you are going. So let me challenge you tonight. Don't just hope for a better future, design it. Don't just wish for progress, specify it. Don't just say someday, give someday a date. Because you cannot arrive at a destination you refuse to define. And once your vision is clear, the map begins to reveal itself. Now, once the destination is clear, once you've decided where you're going and who you must become, the next question becomes very practical. How do you get there? And this is where most people overcomplicate success. They think achievement requires dramatic action. A breakthrough moment, a lucky opportunity, a giant leap. But let me tell you something simple and powerful. Success is usually not dramatic. It is quiet. It is steady. It is built in the routine of an ordinary day. The route to achievement is hidden in your daily disciplines, not in what you do once in a while, not in what you do when you feel inspired, but in what you do consistently. A single workout doesn't transform your body. A single book doesn't transform your mind. A single good decision doesn't transform your life, but small disciplines, practiced every day, create compounding results. And compounding is a miracle. Just a little better each day, just a little wiser each day, just a little more disciplined each day. At first, you don't see much change. That's why people quit. They say it's not working. But success is subtle in the beginning. You plant the seed, you water it, you protect it, and for a while nothing seems to happen, yet underneath the surface roots are forming. Character is forming, habits are forming, strength is forming, daily disciplines are not exciting, let's be honest. Waking up early when you don't feel like it, studying when others are relaxing, saving money instead of spending it, practicing your craft when no one is watching. These things are not glamorous, but they are powerful. You see, discipline is simply the ability to give yourself a command and follow it. That's maturity. That's leadership, even if you're only leading yourself. And here's the danger. The same principle works in reverse. Just as small disciplines build success, small errors build failure. Skipping one day doesn't seem like much. Overspending a little doesn't seem dangerous. Neglecting preparation once feels harmless, but repeated over time, small errors accumulate. Neglect compounds, procrastination compounds, excuses compound, and one day you wake up not in the life you designed, but in the life you drifted into. The difference between success and failure is often subtle in the moment, but dramatic over time. Daily discipline is the bridge between vision and reality. You say you want financial independence, then your daily spending habits must align. You say you want excellent health, then your daily eating and movement must align. You say you want influence and leadership, then your daily learning and communication must align. If your habits contradict your goals, the habits will win. Always, because your future is not determined by your intentions, it is determined by your routines. Now here's something encouraging. You don't need massive change overnight. You don't need to reinvent your entire life tomorrow morning. You just need to adjust the direction slightly and stay consistent. A plane leaving from one city to another makes tiny adjustments along the way. Small corrections, small refinements, and eventually it arrives exactly where it intended to go. Your life works the same way. A small improvement in how you manage your time, a small improvement in how you manage your emotions, a small improvement in how you manage your money. These are not dramatic shifts, but sustained over 5 years. 10 years, they change everything, and discipline becomes easier when tied to purpose. If your why is weak, your discipline will collapse under pressure. But when your reason is strong, when your vision is clear, daily action becomes meaningful. You're not just waking up early. You're building a future. You're not just practicing. You're preparing. You're not just saving money. You're buying freedom. That shift in perspective transforms discipline from burden to investment. And understand this, motivation will not carry you. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is structural. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you going. Some days you will not feel inspired. Some days progress will feel slow. Some days the results will not show. That is precisely when discipline matters most, because achievement does not respond to mood, it responds to method. If you do the right things long enough, the results must follow. That's not theory, that's law. So instead of asking, how can I achieve something extraordinary? Ask, what small, ordinary actions can I repeat daily? Read 10 pages a day. Exercise 30 minutes a day. Practice your skill 1 hour a day. Reflect and plan each evening. Simple, not easy, but simple, and simple, repeated consistently, becomes powerful. You see, the route to achievement is not hidden, it's just narrow. Few people are willing to walk it because it requires patience. But those who do discover something remarkable. Discipline creates freedom. When you manage your habits, you manage your future. When you control your actions, you control your direction. And when your daily routine aligns with your destination, progress becomes inevitable. Small disciplines, practiced every day, build the road that leads to achievement. Now, as you follow the route, as you practice those daily disciplines, something very important begins to happen. You begin to change, and that change is not accidental, it is necessary, because achievement is not something you pursue and capture like a trophy. It is something you attract by the person you become. Your income rarely exceeds your level of personal development. Your influence rarely exceeds your level of character. Your opportunities rarely exceed your level of preparation. So if you want more on the outside, you must build more on the inside. This is where many people get frustrated. They say, I'm working hard. Why am I not seeing bigger results? And sometimes the answer is simple. You're working hard on the job, but not hard enough on yourself. Your job may make you a living, but personal development will make you a fortune, and I'm not only talking about money. I'm talking about wisdom, confidence, communication, leadership, emotional strength. These are assets no one can take from you. Markets can shift, companies can close, economies can change, but what you become stays with you. Personal development begins with awareness. You must be honest enough to ask, where am I weak? Not to criticize yourself, not to condemn yourself, but to improve yourself. Do you need better communication skills, stronger financial literacy, greater emotional control, more technical expertise in your field? Growth requires humility. The moment you say, I already know enough, growth stops. The moment you say, I still have more to learn, growth begins again. And here's something powerful, learning compounds just like discipline does. Read a few pages every day, listen to ideas that challenge your thinking, spend time with people who stretch your standards. Over time, your perspective expands, your thinking sharpens, your confidence deepens, and when your thinking improves, your decisions improve. When your decisions improve, your results improve. Everything rises when you rise. But personal development is not only intellectual. It is also emotional and relational. Can you remain calm under pressure? Can you respond instead of react? Can you listen before speaking? These qualities determine whether your growth is sustainable, because success without emotional maturity often collapses under its own weight. The higher you climb, the stronger your foundation must be, and the foundation is who you are when no one is watching. Personal development also requires association. You become like the people you consistently spend time with. If you surround yourself with mediocrity, you will slowly normalize it. If you surround yourself with ambition, integrity, and discipline, you will elevate. Conversations shape convictions. Convictions shape actions. Actions shape destiny. So choose your associations carefully. Not everyone can go where you're going, and that's not arrogance, that's alignment. If you want to grow, you must place yourself in environments that demand growth. Now let me share something that may challenge you. Comfort is the enemy of development. When everything feels easy, growth usually slows. Growth happens when you stretch, when you attempt something slightly beyond your current ability, when you risk looking inexperienced while learning something new. That discomfort is not a sign to retreat. It is a sign that you are expanding, and expansion is necessary if you want your results to expand. Remember this: you do not get paid for the hour. You get paid for the value you bring to the hour. The marketplace rewards skill. It rewards creativity. It rewards leadership. It rewards those who solve problems effectively. So the question becomes, are you increasing your value? Are you becoming more capable this year than you were last year? Because if you stay the same, your results will stay the same. But if you grow, everything connected to you has the potential to grow. Your family benefits, your business benefits, your community benefits. Personal development is not selfish, it is generous. The more you become, the more you have to give. And here is something encouraging: growth is within your control. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control other people. You cannot control every circumstance, but you can control what you read, what you practice, who you listen to, how you think. That is powerful, because when you take responsibility for your development, you stop waiting for permission to succeed. You begin building yourself intentionally, day by day, skill by skill, lesson by lesson, and slowly, almost quietly, something changes. Opportunities begin to recognize you. Responsibility begins to find you. Doors begin to open. Not because you chased them desperately, but because you became the kind of person ready to walk through them. Achievement is not something you pursue. It is something you attract by the person you become. Now, once you have clarity, once your daily disciplines are in motion, once you are committed to personal growth, there is one final force that determines whether the map actually leads you to the destination, and that force is responsibility, sustained by persistence. You see, the day you accept full responsibility for your life is the day your power returns. As long as someone else is to blame, someone else is in control. If the economy is the reason, if your boss is the reason, if your past is the reason, if your circumstances are the reason, then your progress will always be limited by those things. But the moment you say, "This is my life, these are my results, and I will own them," something shifts inside you. Ownership creates strength. Blame creates weakness. Blame feels temporarily comfortable. It protects the ego. It explains away the discomfort of failure, but it also steals your ability to change. Responsibility, on the other hand, can feel heavy at first. It forces you to examine your habits, your decisions, your reactions. It asks uncomfortable questions. But it also gives you something priceless: control. Because if your choices helped create your current results, then new choices can create new results. That realization is empowering. Now understand this clearly: responsibility does not mean everything is your fault. Life is not always fair. Storms will come that you did not create. Unexpected setbacks will appear. Disappointments will test your confidence. But responsibility means this: regardless of what happens, you choose your response. And your response determines your future. You cannot always control events, but you can control effort. You can control attitude. You can control persistence. And persistence is what turns intention into achievement. Most people underestimate how close they are to breakthrough. They quit in the valley. They stop in the middle. They retreat when progress slows. But success often hides behind the moment when quitting feels most reasonable. Persistence is not dramatic. It is not loud. It is quiet endurance. It is showing up again when yesterday was discouraging. It is trying again when the first attempt failed. It is adjusting instead of abandoning. And let me tell you something important: persistence is easier when responsibility is strong. When you blame, quitting feels justified. When you own the journey, quitting feels like betrayal. Because you understand that your future depends not on perfect conditions, but on consistent commitment. Now here is the truth about achievement. The road will test you. There will be delays. There will be detours. There will be moments when you question whether the destination is worth it. In those moments, emotion will try to take control. Emotion will say, it's too hard. Emotion will say, maybe this isn't for you. Emotion will say, find something easier. But discipline reminds you of your commitment. Clarity reminds you of your vision. Personal growth reminds you of who you are becoming. And responsibility reminds you that the outcome is still in your hands. Persistence is not about intensity, it is about consistency over time. A river cuts through rock not because of power in a single moment, but because of steady flow. Likewise, steady effort shapes destiny. The marketplace rewards those who endure. Relationships strengthen through those who stay. Character develops in those who refuse to compromise under pressure. Persistence builds confidence. Because every time you continue despite difficulty, you prove something to yourself. You prove that your word matters. You prove that your commitment is stronger than your mood. You prove that you are reliable, not just to others, but to yourself. And self-trust is powerful. When you trust yourself to follow through, fear loses its grip, doubt loses its voice. You begin to walk with quiet certainty, not because the path is easy, but because you know you will not abandon it. And here is something beautiful about responsibility and persistence. They compound just like discipline and growth. Each time you choose ownership, you become stronger. Each time you choose persistence, you become steadier. Over time, challenges that once intimidated you begin to look manageable. Obstacles that once stopped you become stepping stones. You start to see problems as temporary, not permanent, and that perspective changes everything, because achievement does not belong to the most talented. It belongs to the most committed. It does not belong to the lucky. It belongs to the consistent. It does not belong to those who never fall. It belongs to those who rise again. So when the road feels long, keep walking. When the progress feels slow, keep improving. When the results feel delayed, keep believing. Your map is clear. Your disciplines are in place. Your growth is ongoing. Now your responsibility is to persist, because those who refuse to quit eventually arrive.